use the law of attraction, it would be such a better, more amazing world.
It really would. If more
Right?
people understood, like how to use it
Yes.
and just it would absolutely change the whole world.
For sure. That's why I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. So it looks
Yes.
like we are live. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you are here with us, just let us know you're here. I will definitely, try to pay attention to the comments, and definitely, um, if you have questions, put them in, and Victoria and I will be happy to answer. I mean, Victoria is the authority today, so I'm so excited to have her join us. So if you're
I
here,
am too.
thank you, darling. So if you're here with us, just let us know. Tammy, oh, always so great to have you with me. I love having you here. So, all right, just going to introduce and get started. And I'm Grace Redmond, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. I have a phenomenal guest with us here today. I'm super excited to have her. Victoria Gallagher is a worldwide leader in hypnotherapy, a best selling author, international speaker, manifestation coach, and renowned authority on the law of attraction. She has dedicated her life to empowering people all over the world to successfully live a life of liberty, aligned with their dreams through her effective hypnotic recordings, which can be found through her app, HypnoCloud. As a tireless personal growth enthusiast herself, Victoria hosts the popular law of attraction show, The Power of Your Mind podcast, featuring industry experts. The Power of Your Mind is a self help podcast helping listeners unleash the power of their mind. I'm so happy to have you today. I'm so excited.
I am too. I am too. It's been a while since we interacted. It was like last year. I think you were
Yes.
taking the manifesting
Yep.
challenge, and I know you got a lot out of that. And then, I've been just kind of watching you, um, you know, really, come into your own with law of attraction, and you're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank
So I'm
you.
just
Thank you.
honored and blessed to be asked to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. No, we were in the pandemic, and I had been following you before the pandemic, and you had offered this law of attraction manifestation. I said, gosh, we're sitting at home, and I love Victoria, and I've been following you. So I did the class. It was amazing. And I also got your book, The Practical Law of
Yay!
Attraction. I've read it twice. I've read it
I
twice.
love it. I love hearing stories like that. I've heard people, like the most I've heard so far is 4 times. And
That'll be me, girl. That'll be
I love
me.
it. I feel like I kind of, wrote a little bit of a classic. I mean, if you think about it, just that people are reading it over and over again and making practical use out of it. I love it.
I think it's amazing, and I love the law of attraction. I've been studying it for years, and your book is really practical. It's there's steps to follow. It breaks it down easily, and I have really been able to manifest some amazing things over the last 2 years. After the class with you, reading the book, and actually, I have your app too. So I've been listening to your app. So I just want to thank you so much, and I was excited to have you come on because during the pandemic, even though there's all this chaos going on, I stayed grounded in the mindset that yes, there's all this chaos happening around me for sure. And I am feeling it. However, I know that I can still create the life that I choose while we're in this situation. And you really helped me there too. Can you speak a little bit on that? About even though we may have chaos going on, how can we still create?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that because here's the thing is we never stop creating and we never, stop being responsible for the results that we're creating in our life even when the world is like falling apart around us. If we choose to like really get ourselves immersed in what's going on out there and the news and the bad stories and the fears and the anxiety, if we go down that road, then we're going to just kind of be part of that that universe of what's going on out there, and really just participating and playing in that world. And we
Mhm.
don't have to play in that world. We can create and invent and reinvent our own world. Like the universe is really inside of us, and
Mhm.
it's really about what we choose to pay attention to. So like when there's those bad things and it feels like the whole world is falling down around you, and you got up on the wrong side of the bed, or you got into a fight with your best friend or your husband or your parents or your sister or whatever, you can break away from that, and you can just begin to like really softly, gently shift your attention to what's going right. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're that we're going to be up and optimistic and positive and rah rah all the time. It's impossible to be like that, and sometimes we have to see what we don't want in order to like have that contrast to be
Mhm.
able to show us, okay, I want to move away from that. So if I want to get away from that, and the thing is, let me speak to that. Getting away from things is actually still, drawing it to you.
Mhm.
We don't want to like if we try to like get away from things, we're still focusing on that idea. So we've got to
Yes.
completely like divert our attention to things that like we want to create. And you got to be strong. You've got to have that unwavering desire, and that unwavering confidence and faith and belief that like what choice do we really have
Mhm.
if we want to
Right.
create a life that we want? Like we could just go down this miserable path, or we could choose, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to have a good day today. And
Mhm.
I can have a good day today by focusing on just the most basic things that I have going for me in my life right now, which is the air in my lungs. Like, there was a time when I didn't have all the air in my lungs. So I know
Mhm.
what it's like to not have all the air in your lungs. And I got to tell you, it is something that we take for granted, just breathing. I mean,
Yes.
I've had 4 lung collapses.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's not it's not a good feeling. And so like gosh, we just take for granted our ability to just walk around.
Yes.
To
Yes.
just walk around, and so there's always something good to focus on. And when you can start to focus on the good, the positive, you are going to draw more of that to you.
Yes. Yes. I believe that wholeheartedly. I've experienced it. I've created so much. And it's not easy, like you said. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy. There's some principles that have been challenging for me, like the detachment, like you were just saying. Like even though I'm moving away from it, but I'm still attached to it. So I've had a challenging time in those situations. And you also said, when when we keep focusing on, we're going to get
Yes.
more of.
Whatever it is,
Mhm.
whether it's the negative or the positive, whatever we choose to put our focus on, and it's not like magic, it's not like thoughts just automatically turn into things
Yeah,
by focusing on them. A lot of people like when they hear thoughts become things, they're like, no, it doesn't, and it's like, well, it doesn't like happen on the spot
no,
instantly. There's a process that
absolutely.
it has to go through. And, but it's all like, the energy and the vibration and the frequency that we choose to be on. We have to be the person that we
Mhm.
want, that we need to be in order to match up with, with what it is that we want. We have to go through a little bit of a process. Energy,
Mhm.
goes through, a process. Water goes through a process of going from various different states of frequency. Sometimes water is just, these thin little vapors. That's our thoughts. Then it turns into like this gaseous substance, at times. And that's like our feelings. And then, sometimes it's more, more like water.
Mhm.
And then sometimes it's like ice, and that's when things are actually like seemingly solid. But
Moving.
nothing in our universe is actually solid. It's all just energy, because
It's
the
all.
ice can turn it back into water. It can turn back into steam.
And that's one thing I learned from you. Yes, everything is energy. And one of the principles of the law of attraction I learned from you was being in the emotion of it. So I've always studied. I knew, the mindset, the thought, and I accomplished a lot that way. But what I learned from you was be in the emotion of it. What does it feel like? Like it's already done. What does it feel like? What do you want to feel like? And so learning that from you and putting myself in that emotion, even though I wasn't there, like in my current reality, I would practice that. Okay, what does it feel like? And it's amazing how the possibilities would just show up. And then I'm like, but it's a process. I'm not going to say this is easy, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, because I would just fall off, come back, go into resistance, come back, but I wouldn't give up.
Yep. And you know what? We all do. I mean, listen, I wrote a book on this. It doesn't mean that like 100% of the time I am, like Miss, like, positive, joyful,
Yay, that's
blissful,
not realistic.
grateful feeling. It's like, well, I mean, as long as we are human beings, we're all going to go through various states of feeling, but it's like it's catching yourself in
Yeah.
those moments, when it's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm really attached to this outcome,
Yes. Yes.
and I guess this attachment to this outcome is what's making me feel really frustrated and disappointed and angry and resentful and resistance and all
Oh,
of these bad feelings, that they come from like maybe not trusting that the thing is going to show up for you, maybe not having that belief. But you recognize it. And it is a practice. It is a practice. It's like, you know what?
totally.
The first time I'm going to say this, but it's like law of attraction is like a meditation. Law of
Tell me
attraction is
more.
like a yeah, it because some days you're gonna have a good meditation, some
Mm,
days, you're gonna have a crappy meditation. And but it's like a meditation, it's a dance. It's something that it's a practice, like you practice meditation. You never really 100% perfect meditation. There's always gonna be these bothersome thoughts that are going to come in that you have to tell to like go away and bring yourself back to your breathing. Well, it's like this kind of the same thing with law of attraction. We're gonna get it. We're gonna recognize what we want, and sometimes we're gonna recognize that we've manifested something that we don't want. And
mm,
when we recognize that we've manifested something that we don't want, got to have the discipline to,
yeah.
bring ourselves back around, get up, focus on what we want, do it
And
again.
and the contrast, I like how you talked about the contrast because the contrast is necessary because we really don't know what we want if what we don't want doesn't show up. Like sometimes you don't know what you want, and then the things that you don't want show up. You're like, okay, now let me refine this. Like I know this is, and I remember you said don't use the word don't. So now I've learned how to reframe, instead of I don't want, to work 100 hours a week. I want to, have a work schedule that is easy and graceful for me,
Ooh, yes.
right? And the contrast has helped me recognize, okay, what works, what isn't working, and what do I want, and how can I frame that in a positive aspect? Because a lot of times we say, well, I don't want this and I don't want that, but the universe is not hearing the don't, they're just hearing what I don't want.
Exactly. Like, and it's easy, I just explain it to people. Usually it's like, think of an elephant, don't think of an elephant. Either
Mhm.
way, there's an elephant in your mind.
What did I say? I remember that from the book. You said, "Think of an elephant." There's the elephant.
Exactly. And, so whatever we're focused on, whether it's something we don't want or something we do want, and, so we have to train ourselves to like, oh, I'm thinking about what I don't want. Let me move my focus to the idea of what I do want. And, the other thing too is, when we think about what we do want, we have to think about that in I think personally, because I'm very practical. And, so I think we have to think about these things in a way that makes sense, like in a way that we can believe it. So we have to kind of chunk things down and break it down into bite size steps that
Mhm.
we can we can really wrap our minds around. If you can't wrap your mind around being a multi-billionaire, okay,
Mhm.
just to exaggerate, because probably I don't know too many multi-billionaires.
Well, that's
um
outrageous. Like, if I'm gonna say I'm going to be a multi-billionaire, my mind's gonna be like, "Grace, screw you."
Exactly, exactly. So we've got to kind of, bring these things down into, it's got to be something that you can believe in. And so that's all part of the alignment. I mean, you can get your thoughts, your feelings, your imagination in alignment. And I truly believe, it was kind of interesting because I didn't write it with this thought in mind, and I didn't notice this about my conditions until way after the book had come out. But I kind of realized that, like, the first three conditions, the desire, the thought, the feeling, really create the belief,
Mm,
and we like you have to have the desire, the thoughts, the feelings, and even your imagination,
mhm,
all in alignment, and then that's going to ultimately strengthen your power to believe. And then once you believe, the rest of the manifesting conditions kind of come more naturally, because if you believe, you're going to be getting
mhm,
the inspirations. You're going to get the insights. You're going to get the ideas, the creative ideas from creative attraction. You're going to
mhm.
be much more able. How can you take action on something if you don't really
Totally,
believe?
totally.
So you're going to be taking the actions, and then of course, it's the actions are going to ultimately be the thing that's going to create your results.
Well, I'm so happy you brought up the word action, because so many people may think, okay, the law of attraction, I'm going to sit on my couch and everything's going to come knocking on my door, and that's the furthest
Wouldn't
thing from the
that
truth.
be
That would be
great?
really great. Can I just sit here and everything will just come to me?
I'm just gonna
So
meditate all day and just, to be like Amazon deliveries, just,
I love.
hit, oh, there's another one.
Oh my
There's
god, that
another
was so
one.
cool. But I think I'd be bored. I think I'd be bored if that happened. I would like, I find it. I like a
What
challenge.
let's see what Amazon delivered me today. Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Sometimes that does happen though, Victoria.
You know what? It absolutely does sometimes. There are spontaneous manifestations that do occur,
Yeah.
and I think those spontaneous manifestations are created by this, like, the most subtle thoughts. They're not like I just find, honestly, it's when you are pure purely detached from something. I and that detachment is like so super powerful, because any attachment is coming from or creating more doubt, fear, and anxiety. That's exactly what attachment does. So any attachment to it is gonna create a little bit of resistance to that thing manifesting. But it's like these really subtle, spontaneous thoughts that you get that you just don't even give any thought about.
Mhm.
Those things tend to just spontaneously manifest. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Oh yeah, all the time. And my word of the year has been detachment.
Interesting.
And the resistance I've had detaching from some of the situations that I know weren't serving me was really challenging. And it's taken me, I recognize it, an attachment in February, and we're in October. And recently I just detached. It's been an attachment I'd had for years. But what I realized is, I don't know, let me know what you feel, think about this. I needed that attachment to help me move through some healing, because until I healed those pieces of me, I wasn't going to be able to detach. Then when I had the healing, I detached, and the minute I freaking detached, boom.
Yes, you know
What?
what? And so when we say it attached to something, I don't want anybody to hear that like you're wrong
No,
for
no, there's no
being
wrong or
attached.
right.
It is, you're absolutely right. We are where we're doing that because we're getting a benefit out of it. And so that benefit for you in this case is that you knew that unconsciously needed to hold on so that you could break that wound open
Mhm,
and more and heal it.
mhm,
And trust me, girl, I have been there.
mm,
And it is something that I 100% agree with you that um sometimes we do keep ourselves attached to those things because we still have lessons also to learn about that. I'm still learning lessons about myself through attachment, and it's really right now I'm going through another little journey, another little unfolding and learning some things about myself, seeing some things about myself that I'm not too crazy about. And and
No, I
yeah,
love that
exactly.
vulnerability, because we're human, and although, we are influencers and we're teachers, and at the same time, as long as we're alive and breathing, we're going to continue to have our, journey and experiences.
Yes, exactly. And so we can't be too hard on ourselves. We just have to realize that, it's all a journey and it's all a process. And, as we just continue, it's a self-awareness journey. This
Mhm,
so much of law of attraction to me, it really begins, and I even in my qualities, because that's one of the things I rarely discuss about in my book is the qualities. That's like, in a way, it's so advanced. It's like most
awesome.
people are still working on the conditions,
Mhm,
but the qualities are, and I talk about one of the qualities being awareness. That's a very,
mhm,
very first quality in my book, is just having the awareness of, to even begin to know
mhm,
what are the quality of my thoughts, what are the quality of my feelings, what are the quality of my behaviors, my actions, and taking that responsibility to change your focus, and the discipline to do all of that. So
mhm,
it's really deep to me. It's so synonymous, law of attraction, with personal growth. And I kind of had it backwards because many years ago I created my personal growth club, which is a 60-week program. I kind of learned in hindsight, no one really wants to do 60 weeks of
60 weeks.
hardcore 60 weeks
That's
of
over a
hard.
year.
It's over a year, and I don't know why, I don't know why I had to make it so hard on myself, but I think it was just I got so, like, well, people need to work on this, people need to work on that, people need, these were all like legit things that I
Mm,
think if you, really worked on all of these aspects of yourself, you'd have life pretty well figured out. And, and you'd have a PhD in personal growth for sure after taking that course. Um, but, it's like, in a way, that there was no real benefit to people other than the personal growth. And to
mhm.
me, law of attraction, the ability to manifest your any reality that you want, is the benefit, but it only comes from personal growth.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I never really thought of it that way. To be in the principles of the universal law of attraction means to focus on your personal growth and development, because
Mhm.
that's how, what you talked about process earlier. That's part of the process. That's part of the
Yes.
growth, and moving into alignment with what you want. Because if I don't do the growth piece, the self development, I'm not going to be ready for what I want to manifest, and then I'll self sabotage it.
Exactly. It's, it's a personal it is a personal development journey to be able to do this work. You don't just like I mean, we're taught we're this it's really a journey back to our true nature.
Mm,
We're taught
mhm,
in, throughout our whole lives to not be our true nature, to be like everyone else, to not think, to not feel, to not be aware, self-aware. We're taught all of these kind of
mhm,
lies about ourselves,
mhm.
this misinformation and these limiting beliefs, and that you can't have everything that you want. And we've got to spend, some time to break all that up and
And it
get
takes a
back.
lifetime or
It
lifetime. If you believe in life.
it it does, it does. And,
So
we kinda like, we came to this earth, I think, with this sort of already, ready for us to work on. Like, we sorta designed we designed our own personal development.
I love that. And, and part of the personal development, for me, when I notice a real tremendous, I mean, I've been doing personal development since I was 15,
Mhm.
and I achieved success. However, it wasn't until I combined hypnosis with my self development did I really feel an incredible shift. So, can you tell us a little bit how hypnosis complements the law of attraction and self development?
Absolutely. So, well, first of all, just to give people that may or not be familiar with hypnosis, hypnosis is really a communication between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and it's really a way of getting into the subconscious mind to either receive information that's already there that we are not in touch with, or to it's like a two-way communication system to plant new seeds into where there are misbeliefs. And so the reason why hypnosis works so well to help with personal development, with law of attraction, with anything is really it's about changing the patterns of the brain, the habitual patterns of the brain. So we have these habits, we have these thought patterns in our brain that kind of like almost cause us to do things
Mhm,
on automatic pilot. And we, if you ever tried to change anything with just your own willpower and your own conscious mind, it's very difficult.
mhm,
It's very, very difficult. And because it's like the subconscious mind, really its job is to protect you, and it protects you by really keeping the constancy of everything, keeping everything the same. And so it has these beliefs, and really what it does is it keeps everything the same by rejecting any any ideas that you see coming in. So what hypnosis does is it opens up the gateway to allow you to communicate in a special way with the subconscious mind, to plant new information in where the old beliefs, where the old information, where the old patterns of thinking, where the old habits exist. And you can use, visualization, you can use suggestion, through hypnosis, to allow that new information to become the new beliefs, the
mhm.
new patterns, the new thoughts. And so that's why hypnosis is necessary. It's, like, not even just helpful, it's, like, required, and
I
it's
I I'm with you. I'm
yeah.
100% with you. And this is a funny story. When I got NLP certified, they said, "Grace, come for the hypnosis class." And I'm like, "Oh my God, my people are going to think I'm nuts, you know?" But I was having fun and I loved the group, so I went to the hypnosis class, and I was floored. And then I, hired my instructor, and I did some hypnosis with him. And right away I had a shift. And I said, you know what? I have to offer this. I don't care what people think. Like if they think I'm a quack, I don't care, because it was so powerful and it helped me so much that I'd feel like I wasn't doing a service if I didn't offer it, if I didn't talk about it.
Absolutely. That's well, that's the same shift that I had when I quit my job in 1999 as a stockbroker. I mean, I didn't know that I was going to have to quit my job, but when I stumbled upon hypnotherapy, it was really through doing personal development seminars, and the common thread that was happening during these seminars was they would do these closed eye techniques with us. They didn't call it hypnosis, they didn't call
Mhm.
it meditation or visualization or any of that. They just called it, we're going to do a closed eye technique. So we're going to have you close your eyes. And of course, we're going to, relax you from head to toe and have you focus on these things. And, we would do these really cool things with our minds, and we would come out of these processes and just feel this profound uh, effect and impact from it, and just be so impacted and light and like inspired and all of this. And I'm like, oh my God, everybody has to do this. And I definitely want to, I want to give this to other people somehow, some way. And that's when I kind of started on my journey and decided that, stumbled upon hypnosis. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what, what it
Well,
is.
and that was 22 years ago or more.
that, that was over 22 years ago. Yeah.
And what I love is, like, you're a pioneer of the online business. You started your online business 22 years ago, and now, like, we're all jumping on this amazing bandwagon. You've been doing it for 22 years, girl. So, tell us a little bit, about, your journey, how it's changed. Maybe if you can give some tips to some of our guests who are watching, who are starting online businesses.
Yeah, definitely. So when I first started in 1999, prior to that, it was about, at the beginning of 98, I said, I just kind of got this idea after that seminar. I said, you know what? I want to, and I'm, dating myself. I said, I want to make tapes. And they were like early cassette tapes. And I told my boyfriend at the time, who owned a recording studio, and like, I don't know, it's like all the right people were just like lined up with me for this, because I had a boyfriend that had a recording studio, and my ex husband, who was my best friend at the time, was also a graphic designer, and you need graphic design, and he knew web designers. And so I had like all the people in my little universe that could help me do this. So that was pretty good. And but anyway, I got the idea. Everybody kind of poo-pooed it. Everybody thought like, you can't make, this internet thing is not even going to be around. And
And here
you
we are.
know and you can't possibly sell enough tapes, because I was thinking like, I'm going to sell, 1,000 tapes for $10 a month. They're like, that's impossible. People thought, like it would be impossible to do that. Well, year and a half later, I proved them wrong. And and my primary source of income then and now, has always been online. And it really just kind of came from really, like, it's not even that I knew any special marketing techniques or anything like that. It was really just the stubbornness, the stick to itiveness, this
Mhm.
determination and persistence. Every time I would get knocked down, I would just keep getting back up. And so it really, it's that vision that I had for myself, and I just saw myself. And it's evolved over time. First it became turned into tapes, became CDs, and CDs became downloadable MP3s, and then downloadable MP3s have now all been wrapped up into one app, and everybody just has access, as you know, to the app. And of course, it's evolved into like, well, I think I want to write a book, and I think I want to do an online course, and I think I want to, create a seminar out of my book. And so, so it's just been like really taking steps and
Mm.
seeing the vision, and always just holding that vision for myself. And believe it or not, where I'm at right now, even though it's been 22 years, is nowhere near the like real end goal for me. I mean, I see like way beyond this point right now. And I always, and it's just like, how do you just keep going with that? It's like, I don't know, you just like, I just always feel like that level of success is right around the corner.
Yes.
And it's just right around the corner. Like, I am about to break through, I'm
Love
about
it.
to make it big, I'm about to get to that point. You just keep like,
Mhm.
it's a little dangling carrot out there, but
Totally. But that's and girl, you are big. And that's expansion, like to keep, and I feel it too. It's like it's not that you're never satisfied, it's expansion. Because I feel like if we stop expanding and wanting to grow, then we get stagnant, and that's not that's not that's not fun.
You're absolutely right. And all of this desire in us, as long as we don't allow it to turn into angst and detachment
Mhm.
and misery and all of that, but it is the human nature. It is our desire to expand, to have a richer, more
Mhm.
fuller life.
Mhm.
And everything's
Mhm.
always expanding. Trees are always expanding. They just get bigger and bigger. The longer they're standing, the bigger they are. Everything, this whole universe is
Yes.
constantly expanding. And so it's just our inherent nature to
Absolutely.
want to grow and expand and do better. We may not be able to see at the very, very beginning how far we
Mhm.
can go, but where we are, right, where you get to the next level, and you're like, oh, you know what, I think I can go a little higher, I think I can go a little bigger. And you
I
just
love
keep
that.
growing.
And also, I also noticed that as I move forward and expand, there's other beliefs that come up that I have to like, okay, is this true? I need to reframe these beliefs. It's been an amazing process, and the longer I walk the journey with the awareness, I can see, the patterns that come up, and it reminds me like, okay, this happened before. This is not the end. This is not a failure. Just keep moving through. Stay with it. Stay with it. Don't give up. If you want it,
Absolutely.
it's there. And when we go through the, ebbs and flows, um, I feel like I allow myself to be there because I know it's part of the process of expansion. I allow myself to be there for a little bit because I'm a vibration snob. And then I allow myself, to keep moving. But I love that how you said it's just, 22 years in, and you've done amazing, and you've made it so successful, and so many amazing, you brought so many amazing services and products and served in such an amazing way. And there's so much more left.
There is. I mean, I'm sitting here like, I wish I could split myself into 10 people, because like, I mean, I just keep getting more ideas all the
Mhm.
time of new books that I want to write, new, and like, if you pay attention to the way the world is, like, if you pay attention in a kind of a detached way, and not allow yourself to get inundated, but you notice and recognize the new problems that are coming, and you're going to come up with new solutions.
Mhm.
That's one of the things. It's always like, find a need and fill it. I mean, like, that's the formula of
Mhm.
success. And I think so many people, myself included, they kind of have it backwards. They create the fulfillment of a need and try to find people that
Mm.
need that thing. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Can you
And I
expand on that just a little bit? I think that's huge right there.
Yeah, I think the thing is like, you get this idea for a product and you say, "Oh, this is a great product. I want to create that." But you're not coming from like, who is my target
Yes.
audience? Who is it that I want to help? And that's really the place. And if I could do this all over again, that's where
Mhm.
I would have actually started. I would have said, what specific type of person do I want to help, and what are their problems?
Mhm.
And what are my solutions to those particular problems that I and only I uniquely solve. And
Mm.
then from that's how you can create a business and a product line that just continues to grow, is by finding the problem and the people that have finding the people first and the problems that they have, and
Mhm.
then the solutions to those problems that come from you. And again, like, you know, a lot of times, I mean, and that was me. That was me when I first
Mhm.
started out. Oh, I'm going to create 500, I'm going to create all these hypnosis programs, and I'm sure someone will come along that needs these things. And I did find one of the problems that I had in my business that I, finally had to, and I'm still in the process of, I'm actually getting rid of some of my products now on my website. And in the because the problem was is that I started trying to be all things to all people.
Sure.
And then it just kind of, people come to the website and they get confused, and it's like, what do I
Mhm.
buy? Do I focus on this? Do I focus on that? And so I'm really in the process. It's a slow process. It's a slow
Sure.
journey, but I'm going to start getting rid of some of my products and really narrow it down, because I
Mhm.
found like the more products I had, the more all over the place I was, the
Sure.
less business I did.
That's an interesting concept because I hear that all the time, and and in my business classes and when I'm studying, same thing. It's like narrow it down. And sometimes I used to feel if I narrowed it down, that there weren't going to be any clients. But what I'm learning is when you narrow it down, they come because then we're more clear
Hmm.
and we're more
Yeah.
focused and we're more in alignment with what we're offering. Because you're right, we can't be everything to everyone, and we're not meant to be. Everyone has their focus.
Exactly. I mean, and for me, like, I finally decided a couple of years ago, whenever it was, that, I'm going to focus on helping business people manifest success through the law of attraction. And so now, there's definitely been more and more people that do what I do coming onto the scene, which is fine. But it's like, uh, you know, you there's not really a lot of competition, when you be an extremely unique, person to fulfill a very specific, unique need. Now,
Mhm.
that could probably even be niched down even more, because like I could niche that down to like helping people with their online business, helping digital, people that are creating digital products, and you know what I mean? So it can you just continue to hone and perfect who
Mhm.
you are,
Yes.
and you will draw the right people to you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you don't work with, like, do I work with the occasional weight loss person? Do I work with the person who's, dealing with anger issues? Yes. I don't turn those people away. I know how to work with everyone. I've been a hypnotist for 22 years. So I've got a pretty big toolbox,
Mhm.
but I'm going to draw in more people that are looking for that very specific niche, that I provide. And I do most of it just
Mhm.
digitally. I mean, my biggest stream of income comes through, my digital, products. So
Which are amazing. I mean, they're amazing, and I'm going to have you talk to us a little bit about that. Lead our audience to where they can find it, and what is one step that people can take to start practicing the law of attraction? Like one simple step, if they're new to this or they've never heard of it, what's one thing they can do?
So if they're brand new to law of attraction and they've never heard of it before, the number one, the first step, I believe, is really getting ultra clarity on that desire, and focusing and honing it down to one thing that you're working on at a time. Because if you're like you've got the entrepreneurial spirit and you're trying to like think about too many things to manifest, I'm going to write this book, I'm going to write this, new hypnosis app, this new script, this new, challenge, this new seminar, this new blah blah blah, you're all over the place. You're just not
Totally.
going to, you're not going to attract. So you really want to narrow down your focus with law of attraction. You really want to get ultra, ultra clear on what it is that's the biggest priority for you right now. And what is the thing that, when you're trying to figure out, like, well, what is my biggest, I want this, I want that, I want that. Well, what's the thing that if you knock down that big domino, that is going to
Mhm.
kind of like, it's going to impact the rest of the areas of your life. And that's the way I like to think about it.
Mhm.
And there's really three main big areas that people are usually focused on, either health, finances, or relationships. So which of those three top areas, wealth is, going to be your business and your money, your love, relationships, your family, whatever, your health, your fitness, your weight loss, which of those three areas is gonna create the biggest impact in the other areas?
Mhm.
And that's what I really like to, get people to just start there, start, really honing in on that. Then, of course, all the other work that ensues from there. But that's step one.
I love that, and you're totally right, and makes it you're right, it's like you work on one thing, a big thing, and then it's a domino effect.
Hmm.
So, there's a story I love from you, and if you have time, if you could share it with us, and can you share a little bit about, your soulmate? And
Yes.
well, I would love to hear that, and I think it would definitely benefit, our audience. So if you have time, I'd love to hear that story, have you share that story.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was surprised, happily to share this. So my husband right now, we've been married for 13 years, and in May, but it wasn't always that way. So, we we initially met in April of 2004. We met on Match.com, and at the time I was dating a lot of, different people, and and he kind of got cut and from, so fast forward to 6 months later, I was kind of like, just I was at the end of like a relationship, and I was not no longer dating anyone else. And I started to like really get clear at that point, that like I'm done with this. Really want to manifest my soulmate. And so I started listening to my Attract Your Soulmate program. About 2 weeks later, um, he writes me back from this general email that I sent out to everyone, asking them to come and see my karaoke show. And so, not actually, it was going to be on TV. Well, they were going to come, but it was like a voting show, kind of like an American Idol, but just on a very small scale. So
Very cool.
I emailed everyone I knew, and he happened to reply to that email. He's like, I know that, this wasn't necessarily, you know, directed toward me, but I wonder if you might be able to go to dinner with me sometime. So this second time around that we saw each other, this was 6 months after we initially met. It was just like we just had this connection. It was just like coming home to, like, wow, this like is really, really feels good. So that wasn't like they lived happily ever after from there. We actually, to try to make a long story a little short, we got to this point in our relationship. This was after a couple of moves. Like, so we moved from Vegas, where we initially met. We moved to Virginia, then we moved to Florida, and there was this moment where it was August. I'm sorry, it was January of 2007, And I was really, really starting to practice the law of attraction again. Like the secret came out, got me all inspired and everything to like, oh yeah, I need to, like really. So it was 2007, and I stood in front of this group, this personal growth group that I put together, and we were all stating what our intentions were going to be. So I said, well, my intention is to get re-engaged, because re-engaged, we'd already been living together, engaged, got unengaged. And, so I said, my intention is to get re-engaged. And, this was in January 2007. They're like, when? And they're like, you should say Valentine's Day. And I'm like, no, I'm going to say by the end of May. And I don't know why I don't know why I said that. I don't know what why May came to my mind, but I was like, that just felt good. That felt realistic, felt like something I could really realistically wrap my mind around. So he comes to me in March. Now we're like 2 months into this. He comes to me in March and tells me, I don't think we're ever going to get married. And I'm like, and so I broke up with him essentially. And I just said, okay, well, maybe this is the universe's way of, because I was like during this whole time, like I'm like, continuing to visualize and got this vision board, and I'm just doing all this manifesting. And like, so I'm thinking this is just the universe's way of getting him out of the way so that I can manifest my real soulmate, because clearly he's not it. And so we break up in March, just a few days before his 30th birthday. And that I had this whole cruise and everything planned. I had to like cancel all that. It was really, really sad. And so I go on this like 90-day journey within myself that like, okay, I am, gonna just like I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna like detach. I'm gonna just completely get this out of my system. I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna date. I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna possibly put me in a vulnerable situation where I might like drunk dial him or do something crazy like that. And so I start like working on myself, getting myself into the best shape of my life. I start meditating. I start working out every day. I start this whole, reading every day, and just really, and I got myself into such a great place.
Mm.
And we're like day 80 something into this process. And I go out to sing karaoke, and I'm looking good. I've got a mini skirt on. My legs are looking good.
Oh, girl.
I'm like, damn, I'm getting so close to that day 90 where I can start dating again. Like I've been, just letting him go, and show up at this karaoke place, and his freaking car is out in the parking lot. I'm like, and I have no clue what's going on in his life. None. We haven't spoken in all this time. He could be there with a woman for all I know. And so I'm just sitting there for like him, and like, am I strong enough? Like, what if I see him with a woman? Like, what do I do? So I walk in there, and he is on stage. Like the person that was on stage when I first walked in, but the next person, he gets up on stage and he starts singing With or Without You by U2. And I'm like, I'm just out there, I'm just watching him sing, and I'm like, what's going on, like. And so he spots me, and after he gets done singing, he comes over and he's like, so how are things, for you? And fast forward, he makes a little date with me to meet him. And he starts singing all these songs to me and everything. And he starts trying to woo me. And then, I just, I tell him, well, you know what needs to happen. And so a week later, he asked me to meet him on the beach at 6:30 p.m. on May 24th, 2007. And he puts a ring on my finger, and he proposed to me, and we got married 1 year later. So, and we've been married for 13 years ever since.
I love that story. And it's such a beautiful story of, detachment, coming back to yourself. owning who you are, and then, and it happened to be him in this case, the desire manifested. So I thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a beautiful story because it goes back to when we come back to ourselves and we would
It
detach
really
those things that are outside of us. So thank you for sharing that. That's one of my favorite
thank
stories.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's about like trusting the universe too, that the universe knows what's best for you. Like if we had not come to that crossroads, like, our relationship would have not had the same landscape. I mean, if I would have just stayed and begged him to stay, like he wouldn't have respected me, and he
Totally.
wouldn't have been able to see the value for himself, that
Mm,
he needed to see. And so, and I honestly, like, I didn't even think we were going to get back together again. I had little flittering moments in my mind where I thought it could happen, and it was there to help me to say, well, what would be proactive? Like, well, if he does try to come back, well, how am I going to handle that? Like, what will I do? Like, and so,
mm,
it wasn't even like so much of a fantasy as much as it was just like, well, this is what I need to say. I need to be strong. I need to stand
mm,
up
mhm.
for what I want. And so
Yes, and set your boundaries, say no. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It's been amazing having you on today. I could just keep talking and talking away.
I know, I can't believe how fast the time goes.
Yes,
I could just talk about
yes.
this stuff and I could talk to you forever.
Me too, me too. And for those who are watching, if you can let them know how they can reach you and kind of give them your information. And I will also have it at the end of the broadcast as well.
Yes, absolutely. So they can go on over to victoriamgallagher.com, and over there, they're just going to get access to all the things, the books, the courses, everything that I do. And another thing is, probably the best way to also is just to download my app. Um, It's a free app. There's like 12 free sessions in the app. One of them being Mastering the Law of Attraction, one of them being Attract Your Soulmate. So those are two like amazing ones that they're getting for free, and 10 others besides that. So they can download the app, and when you do, just pop in your email and name, and you'll get on the list, and then you'll find out about all the other great things that I do.
I love it. I love it. You've been incredible for me, an incredible teacher. And I just adore you and love you. And I'm so happy to have had you on today. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. It's just been a privilege and an honor and fun
Yeah,
to get to spend time with you today.
it was super fun. And for those of you who joined us, thank you so much. I see that Rachel was with us, Tammy, Helen. Thank you guys so much. Judy, I love having you. Helen, thank you. Karina, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for those who are on the replay. We really appreciate it. If you
Yeah.
enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share and rate it. I'd appreciate it. And then until next time, I wish you a wonderful and amazing day. Take care. Bye bye.